Okay, almost there in terms of the rigging. So what we need to do next is link these IK solvers back to the hand bones so that they will, if you rotate or move the hand, they will go with it. So what I'm going to do there is just get the select and link tool, mouse over the IK solver, drag over the hand link, and you'll see the hand kind of flash for that, and I'll do it for these as well. Okay, so now when we get our move tool, move that, you'll see that sure enough the hand goes with the, or the fingers go with the hand. Let's check it for rotation as well. Yep. But now you can move. Actually, I probably want to move those more like that. All right, so now that we have a good rig, and you could do some test animations and then just delete the keyframes for these. So, I may want to pick something like the hand here, and let's move out to a frame out here, and turn on the auto key and do a little bit of just very quick animation with that guy. Maybe I'll do a little bit of rotation, and then do just a touch with these IK guys out here. I won't do too much with the thumb. I may have to switch to local mode for it. Just do. Test these guys at some various poses. Let's do a little bit of lateral movement on those as well, just to get a little bit of finger spread maybe. Yeah, so that's looking pretty good. Let's see how that plays. Yeah, it's looking all right. Okay. So I may be able to, let's see if I can back out of all those. I think that it's going to get me out of it. Yep. Or what you could do if that wasn't the case. Here, let me redo a little bit. Redo some move and rotate, so it's got that in it. With those objects selected, I'm just going to show I could either show the curve editor, or I'm just going to bring up the let's see, my show UI and show my track bar, and I could just delete these keys that are on these objects. Oop. And before I delete them though, I need to move there we go, to that, and delete those, and let's make sure, okay, it's still got the move key on it. And interesting that it's not showing up down here. It should show up red down here. So if not, if you can't see them, look for the weird. claiming to be off, but obviously it's moving. Let's see what else might have a key to it. Ah, there we go. I rotated that. Sorry, I thought I was dragging that hand for that, but obviously I was rotating the arm. So pay attention to which movement you're doing, rotation or move. All right, so now all my keys should be, that's all off on these things. Technically, I could just leave those on there because the next thing I'm going to do is just skin this arm to the bones. So that would actually make a really good test case for just testing to see if it's moving the arm the way I think it's going to. But we can just do that again. That's fairly quick. So I'm going to unfreeze all to get the arm back to be selectable. And you can see it, if I go to the modify panel, it's all unwrapped and everything's good with it, just in terms of its UV coordinates and applying materials and things like that to it. So the next part is to just apply a skin modifier to it. So I'm going to right click, and skin's one I use a lot, so it's over here in my drop down. If you're not using that, you can just come to the modifier list and drop down to skin. And apply a skin modifier to it, and then it's going to ask for bones to add. And here is where you would probably want to go in and make sure you're. Let's see, and is this a left arm or a right arm? I can't remember. This is a left. So in this case, since there's only going to be one arm in the scene, it's not going to be a big deal, but I have a tendency to, left arm upper, and sometimes I'll grab just that prefix and do that, and then when it's time for I name the that, and then this one I would call probably bone. And left arm upper. And then go from there all the way down this little hand. And so on. I'm not going to go through all these, but you get the idea. And believe me, you really need to do this because it makes things so much easier when it comes time to try to add bones or to work with bone systems. So let's come back to our hand and click on our add bones. You can click on that and add bones, or sometimes you can right click, and if you only have a few bones, I'll right click and do the add bones from here, and you can pick them from the window. If you do it from here, although it can be kind of finicky when when some of the bones are real close together and all that, but I can just do add here, and now I know I'm going to just add any of the bone objects in here. The ones I'm not going to add, though, and I'm glad I remembered this, are these little nub bones out here. So let's definitely rename those, and I'll just say nub 01 and copy the O or nub O there, and now let's go. Let's make sure I got that selected. Yeah. Oh. So yeah, I do not need those in the list here. So let's just get all these, and yeah, none of those, and select. So now I have a skin on this thing, so that if I start to move things, we can test to see what's going to go with it and what may not. Most of the time it does a pretty good job of figuring out what goes with it. Sometimes it does not. Okay, yeah, looking good up here on the forearm. Yeah, looking good on the upper arm. let's take a look at our fingers and hands down here. Oh, and yeah, while I've got this thing, now that the skin's on there, I'm going to freeze it temporarily just to do a little testing. Okay, hand looking good. The rotation of the hand is a little, see how it's taking way too many verts with it, or too much of the geometry. It's not really bending from right here, it's bending way up here, so we'll need to adjust that. Let's take a look at our hand. Seems to be fairly good. Got some of the geometry right in here that's not going with it, so we need to adjust that. Let's take a look down here at these guys. A real good test is to do some lateral movements on these, so that sometimes this bone will take geometry from, say, the middle finger here with it, and so on. But this one looks pretty good. Do a little lateral movement on those. That looks pretty good. They're a little bit under. If you notice up here at the root, they're not quite. Yeah, I think they need to take a little bit more with them. Looking good there, and actually looking really good out here on that one. So really, there's very little we need to do. Some of the thumb, looks like we need some work on the thumb root, and some work on lessening the amount the hand takes with it. In terms of rotation. And maybe increasing a little bit of what each of the kind of roots of the fingers take with it, but otherwise looking quite good. And so to do those kinds of things, we'll use, let's come back and unfreeze that thing. We'll use the influence that these things had in here. Let me expand this a little bit so you can see everything. In this, we'll edit the envelopes of these things, and in this case I want to lessen the amount of influence that that the hand bone has on here, and increase the amount that this forearm bone has on that. So what I'll do is I'll come in and we'll work through the edit envelopes, and you can see if we go back to shaded mode, you can start to see the influence that each of the envelopes of the bones has over the others, and it looks like we may need to do quite a bit of lessening of the envelope of the hand in both directions, and that may just be as simple as either making the envelope smaller, or we can also come in and paint weight on here, and through what looks like a painting tool come in and adjust. And you can see your red has the most influence, yellow is kind of in between, and then blue and green, or green and blue, have lower influences. So looking fairly good up here on the wrist, but a lot of way too much red up in the upper part of the arm, and way too much red down here on these fingers, because we want these finger bones to see there's a lot of blue and a little bit of yellow on those, and we want those to have much more red, say right through here. But otherwise, those were looking pretty good. All right, so let me stop the video here, and I'll pick up with adjusting weights in the next one.